When I started, I didn't have a clue really what I was meant to do. I knew there had to be a solicitor involved and a mortgage broker, but I didn't actually understand how to bring all of that together. With new builds, you can obviously do the help to buy, which is what I went through and did, which made things so much quicker for me. I felt a little bit out of control and didn't know how to handle the situation. But then with the help of the developers and all of the people around me, it went smoothly.
At Move IQ, we are running a campaign to support first-time buyers, and the aim of our campaign is to reduce the average age of first-time buyers. As part of that, I am interviewing first-timers who have successfully navigated the minefield and asking them and talking to them about their experiences of doing that. And I'm delighted to be joined today by Hazel Wood. Hazel, congratulations, not just on your first time buy, but also on the terrific following that you've generated. I'm fascinated in your first time buy because I think you pulled off something that a lot of people dream of, actually, to be really honest. Going through the first time buying process is never easy, and I know you kind of documented it, and you've worked hard at sharing your experiences and helping other people, because there's not a lot of help out there. How did you find the process of going out looking and buying?
So I bought my property in July 2018, and it was actually very straightforward. So I didn't really spend that much time looking at all. I bought a new build, so I bought off plan as well. And it was literally a case of finding it online, speaking to the developers, and then basically starting the process. So,
did you know when you set out that you wanted a new build?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So it was actually quite straightforward from the outset.
Yeah. So I looked at new build show homes about 2 years prior to buying my property, just because I was starting the savings process. I wanted to have a little look at properties that were available, and as soon as walking into the first one, I knew that that's what I wanted. It was, new, clean, no one had lived there before. You get to pick the options yourself, so yeah.
The fact that you bought a new build and set out to buy a new build, were you conscious of the fact that you were kind of bypassing a lot of the stress and the chain situations because you were buying off a builder who had to sell the property? Did you take that into account?
No, it's not something that I considered, no.
So it was actually, you wanted a new build, there we go. Did you go and look at lots?
No, so I pretty much did my research online. I had to look at various websites. I would basically research for developments in my area, and then I found the development that I wanted, showed it to my parents one evening and said, what do you think of this? And it was a case of, they just said, Hazel, go and have a look, go and speak to the developers. And it turns out that it actually was off plan, so there was no building to go and view. And from that point onwards, really just off the floor plans themselves, I knew that was the one I wanted, so I didn't really do any further research.
How did you know with such confidence? Because that's quite scary, buying off plan.
I think sometimes you just know. I know it sounds silly, but
you hadn't been into anything.
No. I think because I'd already gone to new build sites and seen what they look like, I kind of knew what I was going to get myself into. And the design of the property I really liked, the location was perfect, and it was within my budget as well, so it ticked all the boxes.
And I think that's really brave. I do think that's really brave, because it's a big, scary process, and actually you simplified it. So you went to see the developer, you went to see a show flat, presumably, but you actually chose off a floor plan.
Yes.
You haven't got a property to walk into. How long was the time delay between that point and when it was actually built?
So I initially spoke to the developers in February 2018, and I completed mid-July 2018. So
not too bad.
Not too bad at all. Throughout the process, I also got to view the property and have site visits, and also I'd take sneaky trips and just have a look at and see how it was doing. So yeah.
And were there any surprises?
No, I think it was really what I expected. There were a few snagging issues with the property, which with a new build are expected. But they were dealt with very, very quickly.
Okay.
So.
Was it a big part of a big development with the developers still on site, so you could actually get one of their guys in?
Yes, it's a 9-year project, so it's an absolutely huge development, and you'd send an email to the developers, and within a couple of days they'd be round and was fixing anything that was wrong. So
it's
it was really
happy
smooth.
Story.
Yeah.
So in actual fact, your experiences are quite different to a lot of first-time buyers who have aborted transactions and get involved in change, and people change their mind, and there's a fair amount of kind of emotional stress. Actually, by opting to go for a new build, you circumnavigated all of that because there's no chain and
Yes.
it's quite a simple process. Tell me about the dealing with the developer. What was that like? Because you're dealing with a business person. It's pretty black and white, I imagine.
Yes, so it was a case of making the initial contact, meeting with them to discuss if I wanted to go ahead. There were definitely time pressures on everything, so you had to, exchange by a certain date. I believe I had around 2 weeks to decide if I wanted to reserve the plot, and then I had to exchange within 6 weeks.
Okay.
I think
that's not unreasonable, because all the information presumably was there and your solicitor could act quite quickly.
Yes, and during that process, I was back and forth with the developer many times with lots of emails and lots of questions, because I just seemed to find a new question every day. But they were very helpful, came back to me very quickly and reassured me throughout the process.
So in actual fact, your search and your transaction, though, that part of the process went very smoothly.
It definitely did. When I started, I didn't have a clue really what I was meant to do. I knew there had to be a solicitor involved and a mortgage broker, but I didn't actually understand how to bring all of that together. But by purchasing a new build, often they'll source a mortgage broker and a solicitor for you. And it just makes everything so much easier, because they link everything together for you, they guide you through it. And there wasn't really much for me to do other than attend the meetings and sign the paperwork.
Okay. Slightly on that note, Hazel, because it's quite a hot topic at the moment, leasehold.
Yes.
Have you got a nice long lease? Are you satisfied? Is your solicitor satisfied with all of that?
Yes, so all of that was fine. I believe my lease is 999 years, so I think it'll be okay.
It's about control of ground rents and service charges and that kind of thing, there's always a little bit of unknown with a new build, because you don't know how much the block is going to cost to maintain and look after, and I guess you still won't know that at this point.
No, that was one frustration that I actually had in terms of the ground rent and service charge. So when I was reserving my property, they couldn't actually confirm to me if I'd have to pay them fees up front for the year. It was actually a few weeks before completion that I was told I'd have to pay up front for everything, which hit me with another around £1,700. So that was quite a frustration actually in the process.
It wasn't all straightforward.
No,
that was a low
that's the one thing.
That was a low moment. But what would you say the kind of most frustrating part of the whole process was for you? You're a first-time buyer, you'd not done it before. You openly admit you didn't know much about it as you went into it. What did you find the hardest?
I'd say initially it was not understanding the process, because I'm someone that I like to know what I'm doing. If anything, I like to guide other people. So to be the one that didn't really know what I was doing, I felt a little bit out of control and didn't know how to handle the situation. But then with the help of the developers and all of the people around me, it went smoothly.
And you're in now, you're in the flat, all happy?
Yes, I am. So initially it took actually a couple of months for me to finally take the step and move in fully, much to my parents' annoyance.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I think it was just a big step from going to, being in your family home to then moving out and being by yourself, being completely independent. It took a little push, but yeah, I'm completely settled, happy now, and it's.
So you'd actually bought the flat, but was sort of slightly on the back foot.
I was, which is surprising, isn't it? And I didn't think I'd feel that way, but.
Is that interesting? How long had you planned for this first time buy?
So it was 2016, the beginning, when I started saving for my deposit. At that point, I didn't really know what I was going to buy. All I knew is I wanted to save around £20,000 in a 2-year period. So I set myself a goal, and I thought to myself, I can review this as and when I want to. But when I hit 20, that's going to be the point when I start looking for a property. Yeah. And I did hit that saving goal. And then, so beginning of 2018 is when I started looking. So
in 2 years, you'd saved 20 grand, which is fantastic. You were living at home, so not having to pay rent and all that kind of thing. Yeah. I think that's an absolute result.
Thank you.
Did you have to make compromises or sacrifices along the way, would you say?
Yeah, I certainly did. So it started off by going through all of my bank statements, looking at my finances, seeing what I was spending money on, such as handbags, which I didn't have to buy anymore. So I cut out all the things that I shouldn't really be spending my money on. I then reviewed all of my committed outgoings, such as my car finance, my phone bill, and anything that you feel that you can't necessarily change. And I thought, well, how can I go about reducing this further? So then I went to review my car, downgraded, if you like, found something a lot cheaper. That then freed up a lot of money each month as well. Yeah. And then all of that went into my savings pot.
Fantastic. Well done, you. And are many of your friends going through similar experiences? Are people saving? Are people still planning to buy?
Yeah, so one of my best friends has recently completed on her first house. She actually got a 3-bed house, but it's not a new build. So it's slightly cheaper because you do find you pay a premium for new build. And then another one of my friends recently completed on the shared ownership scheme as well, and she's owning 25% of the property. All of my other friends are in the process of saving at the moment.
Okay. So there is still, from your kind of generation, your age group, you feel there is still an impetus to buy property?
Definitely, yes.
Fantastic. It sounds like you were quite clear about what you wanted and where you wanted it to be, but did you consider other areas, other developments?
So at the start of my saving process, when I looked at the show homes, they were in different areas within a 10-mile radius of where I did purchase my property, but they were 2 different developments in the Colchester area in Essex. So that was where my initial thoughts were 2 years prior, because I was working in that area at that time. And then when I purchased my property, I was actually working somewhere else, and I just wanted somewhere that was in the middle of everything. So I'm 10 minutes away from my parents, I'm 10 minutes away from my friends and family, the same distance to work. I can commute to London within a 40-minute time frame. I just feel it's very, very convenient for everything in my life, regardless where I'm going.
So did you establish that as a set of criteria first, parents, friends, London, work, and then go searching? Was in my head, I knew they were the things that I wanted to be close to. But when the actual development came up, it wasn't actually an area that I would have considered buying in, just because I hadn't really been there that many times. It's just a small town outside of my hometown. But when I checked the development and saw where it was and where it sat on the motorway and all of that, it just ticked all the boxes and was perfect. Yeah. How come you were so focused on a new build?
I think it was a case of wanting something that was completely fresh, new, something that I could, from outset, make the decisions as to the kitchen, the bathroom, all of things like that, because I knew if I was to buy a older property, I probably would end up ripping things out, redoing it, and you need more money for that. And I wasn't really prepared to wait additional years to save up. And also with new builds, you can obviously do the Help to Buy, which is what I went through and did, which made things so much quicker for me, because if not, I probably would have had to wait additional years to save and then find something else.
You've thought this through, haven't you? When you chose the flat, obviously it was off plan, but were you then able to spec the kitchen, the bathroom, the tiles, the colours of the walls, that kind of thing?
Yes, I was, So because it was off plan, you get all the options, whereas if someone was to buy halfway through the build of the property, the developers may make that decision for you. So it was very important to me to buy off plan, actually, so that I could make them decisions.
Was the process of choosing your kitchen, your bathroom and your tiles and colours of the walls and that kind of thing, it was obviously quite an attractive proposition for you, but was it straightforward, or was there any kind of nasty small print hidden in there?
No, it was very straightforward. Everything was very high spec for the apartment as it was, so I didn't feel that I needed to make any large upgrades. And the actual process of picking the options was via an online platform, which was very, very easy to use and took minutes.
It's a happy story, Hazel. It really is. It's nice to hear. Are there any particular lessons or kind of thoughts that you would have guiding first-time buyers who might be starting their own journey?
Yes, I definitely say save at least £5,000 more than you feel that you need, because due to things such as the ground rent, the service charge that I had to pay up front, additional costs such as the solicitor fees, they sometimes can come in a little higher than you perhaps budgeted for. And had I known they were going to come in at the amount they did, which I believe I spent around £4,500, but £1,000 was provided by the developers. I then had flooring costs of £2,000 on top of that, which I didn't think I'd have to pay out for. So I definitely say save more than you think. Don't rush into it, and just make sure you've got enough provision to meet all of the costs.
So buying new build, you were obviously able to benefit from the Help to Buy scheme. That must have been a big attraction.
Certainly, it provided a 20% deposit on the property, which also helped to reduce my mortgage interest rate too, because I had a 75% loan to value. So that was great as well.
Fantastic. I mean, it's a kind of big assistance. Hazel, I think it's fantastic how many followers that you've got on your channel. Are they
Thank you.
supportive of what you're doing? Because I think you're out there trying to help them. What are they saying?
Yeah, so for the most part, most people are very, very supportive. You know, I get regular followers that leave lovely comments on a daily basis, but there are the odd person that, you know, doesn't agree with the route that I went down with the Help to Buy. Some people feel that perhaps if you can't afford to get the full mortgage up front, that you should wait and that you're just delaying a larger loan later down the line. And then you're going to incur interest penalties and all sorts.
What do you say to that?
I feel that with the Help to Buy, it's put me in a position where I can actually buy a property now. Without that, I wouldn't have been able to. I probably would have had to have waited another 5 years with savings to reach the same deposit I had with the Help to Buy.
Yeah.
And at that point, property costs are going to go up anyway. So you're going to
Yeah.
constantly be trying to catch up with something. And it's made my dream come true a lot quicker. And I feel that within 5 years, I'm going to try and save as much as I can to repay that loan, or I'll simply sell the property when I, you know, want to get a larger house, and then I'll pay it back at that point. So for me, it's not really an issue at all.
Any plans ahead? Plans for the property? How long do you think you'll be there? I mean, is it 5 years? Is it?
So with my mortgage, I went for a 5-year fixed term because in my head I thought realistically I probably will be there for around 5 years. So I have got a 5-year saving plan to try and save that £40,000 that I owe the government back. If I reach it or not, it's a different story, but that's what I'm trying to do. And I feel that after 5 years of having the property, I would like to sell and get something bigger, say a 3-bed house.
Yeah.
Depending on my situation at that time.
Sure.
Of course, I would love to keep it as a second property and rent it out, but that's the dream world. If I'm not sure if that will happen or not. But
and what are your friends and family? What do they think about what you've pulled off?
My parents are very, very proud and very, very happy with what I've achieved, and I think with my friends as well, it's actually given some of them a push to start looking at the property market. Some of them that maybe felt they couldn't afford it have realised now that if I can do it, then they can as well.
Well, I think what you've done is brilliant, but you had to make some sacrifices along the way to save the money that you did. But actually, it is possible if you put those things in place.
It really is, yes.
Would you have done anything differently?
I don't think I would have done anything differently. I feel that, you know, I learned things along the way, but I'm happy with how it all went, and I'm glad that I've learned the process, and I feel that next time it will go even smoother because I'll know, you know, what I'm doing at that point.
Fantastic. Hazel, really lovely to meet you, and many, many congratulations.
Thank you.